In the fall of 2022, a phrase came to me: lead the narrative. It was like an internal burden. I began to hear all the narratives about everything from the pandemic to this war that we had to get involved in, to the vaccinations, to education, what was going on with CRT and comprehensive sex education. And all of these narratives, they were impacting families. Whether you would buy a house or not buy a house, where you might buy a house, where you want your kids to go to school or you don't want to go to school. Are parents terrorists because they want to have the right to speak into the lives of their children, or are they just good parents? And see, I realized that there were a whole lot of people who are driving a narrative to control the way we live. They want our relationships to be under their control. They want our decisions, our financial decisions, to be under their control. The digital currency. And all these narratives became something so very important to the world that those narratives, well, they fell into the mockingbird media. They would repeat exactly the same phrase again and again and again and again. And I began to get a little frustrated with that. I got frustrated realizing that we all recognize there is a narrative, but we don't all agree with it. And as Americans, we began to speak up and say, we don't like this story that you're telling. We don't believe that the story you're telling is true or accurate or beneficial. And yet, again and again and again, we were silenced. And the burden in my heart continued to grow. And I said, well, what if I just took a camera and I went on the streets and I asked people, what do you think about this? What if I gave them the opportunity to speak their voice, to exercise their First Amendment right? What if we found free speech platforms that would carry a program like Lead the Narrative and give people a chance to share their voice, to share their opinions, to tell the story they tell their own kids, not only today, but for the future? And so we've had some great guests on the show already, local leaders, business leaders, news people. We've had some great conversations with celebrities and those dyed-in-the-wool patriots loyal to America. We also had some conversations with veterans and talking about how they've been mistreated. Veterans of the most current wars and wars gone by. And right here on Lead the Narrative TV, I want to share those stories. Your story, their stories. I want people to understand that there is more than one story and the major media doesn't carry it. The story they carry, well, it may not be your story and it may not be beneficial. But the story that I know may not be the story you've lived, and I want to hear the difference. I want to be aware, awake to what's going on in your world. So I challenge you and I invite you to be a part of Lead the Narrative. LeadTheNarrative.com will be a place for you to put your videos, a place for you to submit your ideas, a place for you to speak up and be a part. And that's what I'm challenging you to do. We'll have guests right here in the studio that we'll sit down and have some deep heart-to-heart conversations with about what it means to be a part of the narrative driving the future generations. We'll also be out on the streets. You might see us at a Freedom Festival or a 4th of July parade. If you see us with a camera and a logo that looks like that in the background, we'd love for you to step up and share your piece. Tell us what you think about America. I would love to have even more first-generation immigrants than I've had conversations with already, right here on camera. Tell you about their story of coming to America and why they chose here of all the 193 nations on earth. Why this one? And what has it meant to them? Because there are a whole lot of people right now who have a narrative that America is not a good place to be. There are a lot of people that would like America to be gone. It's all in the story we tell. It's all about the narrative. And in this world, with all the media tools that are there, social media and mass media, there is a narrative. And you'll either lead it or you'll be led by it. I'm J. Loren Norris for Lead the Narrative TV.